Cyberpunk 2077 reviews are in, and the game that we so lovingly called the game of the decade yesterday, or 2 days ago now, has received reviews from the entire internet, Metacritic scores, and a fair amount of Twitter comments from people who definitely have not played the game. So today, my friends, I'm gonna walk you down Cyberpunk 2077 review road. Now, the sheer scale and depth of this game means there's a lot of takeaways here. So sit back, relax, grab some coffee, and let's talk about what makes Night City. The first thing I wanted to note here is that gunplay feels awesome. One of the most universally praised features in Cyberpunk 2077, especially since the demo, is all of the gunplay. Apparently, the fluidity and the animations and the skill progression really mesh together nicely to give a truly satisfying feel to using some of these weapons, and I know that was something a lot of people were worried about. One reviewer even going as far as to compare it to Call of Duty instead of Fallout, which I thought was crazy. I mean, we know Fallout is a good game, but gunplay just wasn't the move, and Call of Duty has some of the best gunplay in the gaming industry, so the fact that you would make that comparison is pretty big deal to me. Something else that got some more love specifically is the katana gameplay. When the katana was originally used by a lot of people back in the demos, that being the play sessions people had a few months ago, most of the reports on it were that it was, well, not very good. Most people felt like you were just kind of button mashing, but apparently if you do invest your points into the katana, it becomes a much more viable option for late game. And apparently some of the finishing moves in here are really, really robust. So that is something I wanted to note right off the rip here. Gunplay and weapons in general are said to feel really, really good now. I do want to take this second to say if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you smack that big red subscribe button down below, because almost every day here on the Pineapple channel we drop a super high quality Cyberpunk 2077 video, and I only make content that I would want to consume, so please let me bless your inboxes with the latest and greatest from Cyberpunk 2077. That being said though, we gotta jump back in. Something else that came away with universal praise was actually Night City itself, which we've talked a lot about in our leak videos, which I highly recommend checking out if you haven't seen them yet, but in general, the atmosphere and look and feel of Night City is on point, with more than one reviewer going as far as to say that the game felt real. It felt like a city that you would be in the future. It was so well realized via sound design and character design that it feels like a living, breathing place. Many other reviewers saying that they were sold on it, and another reviewer even said that Night City was definitely the main character of this game for him. And as far as the main character goes, this is where we start to get a little difference in our dear reviewers' opinions. Obviously, I feel like the main character of this game is Johnny Silverhand, especially in the main story. And that is something else that a lot of people noted about this game. V is very much a catalyst for what you want to be. So his personality and his answers, or her personality and her answers, are really controlled by you. But the one person who's prominent throughout all that is Johnny Silverhand. And this is where I might ruffle some feathers. Apparently this game is so well voice acted and so well motion captured that Keanu Reeves is the weak link? Question mark? I had seen a couple of reports of this in the initial playthroughs, like people who got 4 hours, and then I saw some more reports of it in people who got 16 hours, and then now people who have played the entire game are saying it too. Obviously, we all love Keanu Reeves. It's one of the main reasons a lot of us are hyped for this game, and if it's not the main reason you're hyped for this game, it's definitely a cherry on top. So it was kind of surprising to me to hear repeatedly that Keanu Reeves is not the best acted person in the game. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this when the game comes out, because I know I'm actually pretty excited to get an up-close look at that story arc, but it does seem to be a lot of people are saying Keanu's not bad, it's just the rest of the game is really, really good. And I don't know how to feel about that. Another thing I wanted to touch on here is the story and how the story interacts with your character. And we also in here have a major tip on how to play the game, and that is just to slow down. And I know that might sound kind of crazy because there's going to be a big push to get you to move forward with the story. I'm not going to spoil anything, but they really want you to keep going in the main quests. But apparently the meat of this game and where you can really impact the story is through the side quests. And the story is actually also used as a vehicle to meet new people who have interesting side quests. So somebody you'll meet in the story for, let's say, a job, will then leave the main story but be in your call logs as somebody who needs something. And then you can choose to help them out or not. And then maybe depending on the choices you made, they'll come back in the main story or they won't. But the easiest way to have implications on the main story is actually to do side missions. And the fact that CDPR is linking side missions and the main story this way really has me excited, because at the end of the day, all I want to do is affect the main story in what I feel like is my own way, and if I can do that by meeting cool and interesting characters in the side quests and experiencing their stories, I mean, come on. Another thing I wanted to touch on in relation to story and side missions is that a lot of reviewers said that the story was lackluster compared to the side missions, and I feel like this has to be because Keanu Reeves is expensive to book. Obviously, I don't have anything against Keanu Reeves making money, he's just an A-list movie star, so the way that they could pay people to to redo lines and redo takes, and no, that's not quite right. For the rest of the game, they kind of have to be like, all right, Johnny, that was great. Obviously, they could get the takes they want in some regards, but I'm just saying they don't have the luxury of being able to pay day after day for somebody to show up. And something I wanted to use as a reference to back this up is that Keanu Reeves only spent 15 days recording for this game. And I don't know how long a lot of other people spent, but I do have Red Dead Redemption 2 for a comparison. And the main character in that game, his name is Roger Clark, spent 7 years mocapping and doing audio lines for Red Dead Redemption 2. And Keanu Reeves only had 15 days. Now, there is a few stories that say he had 15 days and then wanted his time doubled in the game. I can't tell if he spent 7 days and it doubled to 15, or if he spent 15 days and it doubled to 30. Surprise, surprise, his contract's not on the internet, it's just from a few interviews. I did want to note that here though, because I'm kind of a little shaky on it, but regardless, even at the high end, 30 days compared to 7 years is just night and day. And with that, hiring an A-lister for a video game, you obviously are going to have to cut some corners narratively. So that is something I wanted to note here. People are complaining about Keanu in the game, but in reality, this entire experience was recorded in maybe 30 days. And though some people did feel it was a little wooden, other people are really, really excited about it. Now, this would not be a review road walk down if I did not mention the bugs, because the bugs are pretty much all over every review. Everybody talks about the bugs they experience all the time, and while I understand because it colors your experience of the game, I have to say that all of these reviews are recorded without the day one patch. We've talked about this a few times here on the channel, but I think it's pretty unprofessional at this point to review a game of this size and scale and power through the main story without the day one patch, and then to say that you have an impression on that game, to me feels, I already said unprofessional, but it just doesn't feel right. I'm not trying to point any fingers at any reviewers individually, but I think a lot of people who are complaining about the bugginess of this game, anybody making Fallout 76 jokes, across the board, all these people are playing without the patch that every single person who picks this game up on release day will have, which is cool for them to play the game early, but it also lends itself to the problems that most people won't experience some of these bugs that they're experiencing. Obviously, we have no way of knowing how many of these are going to get patched out, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, every review is now worse than what the players will experience when they pick up the game. So let me know in the comment section down below, is Cyberpunk 2077 on your wish list this year? Have you already pre-ordered it? What is your situation with Cyberpunk? Do you have it, or are you just waiting for YouTube videos? Let me know. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, and I hope you're all excited to jump into Night City very, very soon with me. But until then, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button down below, ring that notification bell, and stay ready, Choombas, because it's time. The time is upon us. Alright, thanks for watching another Cyberpunk 2077 video from your boy Pineapple. Peace.